Mainland Chinese authorities have activated their highest-tier Red Typhoon Warning, signaling a state of extreme urgency as the destructive Typhoon Noul barrels into the nation's vital southern economic hubs. Moving northwest across the South China Sea at roughly 20 kilometers per hour, the core of the 12th named tropical cyclone of the 2026 season is lashing vulnerable maritime infrastructures and major urban centers. By Sunday, July 26, 2026, the crisis has forced the mandatory relocation of over 340,000 residents across Guangdong province. An additional 23,000 people have been evacuated in neighboring Fujian province to prevent catastrophic casualties. The disaster strikes a region already highly saturated from preceding meteorological challenges, heightening the risk of extreme inland flooding and widespread infrastructure damage. According to technical field briefings released by the China National Meteorological Center, NMC, Typhoon Noul represents one of the most structurally aggressive July storms to target the Pearl River Delta in recent history. As of late Saturday, the storm's distinct core was positioned approximately 100 kilometers offshore, southeast of Huidong County in Huizhou City. The system has concentrated maximum sustained wind speeds near its center, reaching force 14 to force 15 between 151 to 173 kilometers per hour. Advanced satellite tracking fields from Zoom Earth show spiral rain bands expanding symmetrically. This configuration continuously channels deep atmospheric moisture directly over the high-density coastal regions. The primary path targets immediate landfall along the coast of eastern Guangdong province, directly between Shenzhen, Huizhou, and Shanwei. While terrain interaction is expected to rapidly decelerate Noul's forward velocity and weaken its wind speeds over a 48-hour period, meteorologists emphasize that its structural disintegration will drive massive quantities of rainwater far inland. To eliminate the danger of high-speed passenger train derailments and commercial marine accidents, the state-run transport apparatus has enacted sweeping system-wide closures. The China News Service confirmed that all train services across the entirety of Guangdong province have been halted for Sunday. This drastic shutdown leaves key high-speed rail hubs completely silent, cutting off the main overland corridors linking Shenzhen and Guangzhou to outer provinces such as Jiangxi, Hunan, and Fujian. Engineers have deployed emergency repair teams along vulnerable low-lying segments to guard against sudden subgrade washouts. The regional aviation grid has faced severe setbacks, stranding tens of thousands of international travelers. Over 150 flights have been canceled. Dozens of major international carriers, including Cathay Pacific, dropped all primary departures scheduled through Sunday afternoon. Regional operators such as Singapore Airlines canceled vital cross-border links. This has disrupted connecting itineraries to tech and commercial manufacturing centers. This critical deep-water engineering marvel has been completely closed to vehicular transit. High-velocity crosswinds crossing the open delta channels present extreme safety hazards. Government hydrologists note that the true destructive potential of Typhoon Noul lies in its exceptional inland penetration and high cumulative rainfall values. The storm hits a region highly vulnerable to water damage. Earlier this month, Typhoon Bavi forced more than 2 million people to flee after making an intense landfall on July 11th. Prior to that, Typhoon Maysak claimed 39 lives in nearby Guangxi on July 3rd. Because the topsoil across southern China remains fully saturated and local river catchments are dangerously high, any additional downpours could trigger immediate runoff. The China Meteorological Administration has issued severe heavy rainfall warnings for central and eastern Guangdong, southern Jiangxi, and southern Hunan. Total rainfall over these areas is projected to reach 150 to 300 millimeters, with isolated mountain locations facing an estimated 400 to 450 millimeters of rain. This presents an imminent threat of landslides, mudslides, and urban flash flooding. The State Flood Control and Drought Relief Headquarters raised its emergency response for flood and typhoon control to Level 3 for Guangdong Province, while deploying specialized advisory teams to guide rescue efforts. In high-risk areas like Huizhou, education bureaus ordered an immediate halt to all school sessions and on-campus activities. The severe weather has already caused structural problems in urban centers. In Hong Kong, where the storm signal number 8 is hoisted, high winds caused a massive scaffolding installation on a downtown high-rise building to collapse. Local emergency personnel reported that initial sweeps showed no injuries. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs has implemented emergency measures to safeguard regional crop production and aquaculture facilities. Maritime authorities have ordered tens of thousands of commercial fishing vessels out of open waters, requiring them to tie down at protected inner harbor berths. Engineers are managing water levels at small and medium-sized reservoirs, performing ongoing safety inspections to facilitate emergency flood discharges. Civil defense forces urge all individuals currently in the path of the storm to execute defensive measures immediately. Move loose objects, potted plants, and outdoor furniture indoors to prevent them from becoming airborne debris in high winds. Stay out of basement levels, underground parking decks, and pedestrian tunnels. These spaces can flood rapidly during sudden cloudbursts. Charge all secondary cellular battery banks, laptops, and emergency signaling tools to ensure access to rescue networks during power disruptions. Avoid proximity to high-voltage power lines, metal scaffolding arrays, and large glass windows. Meanwhile, the Hong Kong Observatory raised the Increasing Gale or storm signal number 9 at 1:10 a.m. on Sunday, July 26, 2026, as Severe Typhoon Noul brought destructive winds and torrential rains, paralyzing the financial hub. The storm officially made landfall at 4 a.m. today over Huidong within Huizhou City, passing roughly 80 kilometers to the northeast of Hong Kong. According to senior meteorologists, the number 9 warning signal, or higher, is expected to remain in force until at least 7 a.m. today, as the territory continues to experience severe squalls and heavy downpours. The Weather Authority is closely tracking localized wind shifts to determine if the highest tier, the hurricane signal number 10, will be required. Typhoon Noul, which packs maximum sustained winds of 140 to 150 kilometers per hour near its center, has unleashed severe tropical cyclone conditions across the Pearl River Delta. Heavy thunderstorms are directly hitting the city. Peak wind gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour have already been officially recorded at multiple offshore and high-altitude stations, including Cheung Chau, Green Island, Waglan Island, and Tate's Cairn. Forecasters noted that Noul is the third tropical system to significantly disrupt the southern Chinese coast this month, following hard on the heels of Typhoon Maisak and Typhoon Bavi. Driven by an intensification phase just prior to reaching the coast, Noul has dumped massive amounts of rain on an already saturated region. Extreme weather observers warn that localized cumulative rainfall could reach 500 to 600 millimeters, exacerbating regional flood risks. The violent approach and subsequent landfall of Typhoon Noul have caused extensive systemic disruptions to local and international travel networks. Cathay Pacific suspended all inbound and outbound flight departures from 1:15 a.m. until at least 6 p.m. on Sunday. The carrier is waiving rebooking fees for all stranded travelers. Budget airline HK Express, China Airlines, and Greater Bay Airlines canceled dozens of critical regional links, particularly routes connecting Hong Kong to Taipei and Kaohsiung. On Saturday afternoon, as wind fields intensified into a strong signal number 8, a massive segment of bamboo construction scaffolding collapsed from a high-rise building under construction in the city center. Local police rushed to cordon off the area. Initial emergency service reviews indicated that no injuries were reported from the falling debris. As of 1 a.m. Sunday, fire and municipal departments had officially cataloged at least 7 major incidents of fallen trees blocking vehicular lanes across Hong Kong Island and the New Territories. To mitigate the risks of flooding and structural damage in low-lying maritime villages, the Home Affairs Department activated its emergency network, opening 29 temporary emergency shelters. As of early Sunday morning, more than 190 citizens have sought refuge inside these designated government facilities.
看一下你的手机拍不拍？我操！你这个手机好清楚啊！
我操！
我操！你看这风。